Greetings, YouTube. So, I'm about to throw some stuff at you that the president said, and it's stupefying and, frankly, almost stomach-turning in its level of dishonesty and absurdity. And if you were presented this as a story written by an editor, you'd probably have the writer dragged into an alley and beaten with sticks. But this is the reality we're in. All right, so the shitgibbon denounces Biden's convention speech, saying, "I'm the only thing standing between the American dream and total anarchy, madness, and chaos," says the man who has been sowing anarchy, madness, and chaos since his run for the presidency. That's his brand. Leaving hints, dropping half sentences. The way he speaks is a reason. He speaks like that. He says these little inconsistent, these little half sentences because he knows his followers will finish them. He knows his followers know what the next part of that sentence is. And it's anarchy, madness, and chaos. It's bigotry, racism, and hatred. So he doesn't have to say some of the things out loud. He just leads the followers in the chant, and they know the comeback. They know the callback. He doesn't have to say it. That's why he speaks the way he speaks. There are memory cues for his racist base. I mean, he's also an idiot. That's beside the point. But that's why he speaks like that. I'll keep going. At the gathering of the Council for National Policy in Arlington, the shitgibbon called the Democratic Convention the darkest and angriest and gloomiest in the country's history, saying, "Where Joe Biden sees American darkness, I see American greatness." Really nice use of greatness. I'll give him props in that. Good marketing. His brand is making America great again because he harkens back to an era when the only people in charge were white, straight Christian men. And that's what he wants again. He wants that golden age. When women were quiet, where blacks were quiet, where gay people were quiet, where trans people were quiet, where all the other racial minorities and ethnicities, they were all quiet, because if they weren't, they would get beaten down in the streets. That's what he's looking for. He wants that golden era that his father came up through. Remember his father? The guy who was a member of the Klan? Yeah, him. The shitgibbon claimed that voting by mail is filthy and a disgrace and would lead to the greatest catastrophe ever, while peddling fears about violent mobs overtaking the U.S. cities. Now remember, this is the man who himself is voting by mail. Remember that. Remember that. Twiddler is voting by mail while telling the world that voting by mail is horrible. He's trying to undermine the system of democracy. He's hoping that some of the Democrats will listen to him. They will fear that their vote will not be counted, so they will not vote. He needs to get every single Democratic vote he can neutralized, which is why he's undermining the post office. So he's doing something which is horrible. At the same time, he's sowing the seeds of doubt amongst moderate Republicans that might vote for Biden, because they've come to realize now, because they're slow learners, that he's a horrible fascist dictator. Yeah. And lastly, Trump has also attacked Obama, saying you can't be a great president when much of what he's done, we've undone. Well, how does that work? Obama did a bunch of things. Admittedly, I think Obama is a war criminal for the way he's used drones, or used drones. He's not still using them, I'm hoping, for using drones. So I think that he's a war criminal and should be turned over to The Hague as such. But he also did a lot of things for the country which I think were very positive, at least positive things that happened during his administration that he not necessarily was personally involved with. But because he was president, these things happened. And then along comes the fucking orange fascist, who undoes these things. Well, if you undo something that someone else does, that doesn't affect their work. Their work still stands. You may have undone it, But that's on you. You're trying to undermine what Obama did for every single day of your life you've been in office. You've been trying to undermine it before you were elected. But your desire to undo everything a guy who is smarter, a better politician, better spoken, just a better president in every single metric possible. And I should point out, let fewer Americans die and left a pandemic team in place that the shit giving got rid of course, because the black guy put it there. If you want to try to undo everything he does, that doesn't affect what he did. But of course, you're not smart enough to understand that. You suggest people drink bleach to kill COVID-19? Yeah, it's madness. It's anarchy, madness, and chaos, which is what he wants. So he's done a really good job of marketing himself. The Republicans are really good at doing elections. They suck at governance. You look at any single Republican administration compared to any Democratic administration. America does better under Democrats. Our economies are better. Everything functions more efficiently under Democrats. You can go look at the record and you can see that I'm correct. Not to mention, there are far fewer members of Democratic administrations that are arrested and tried and put in prison. Republicans are corrupt. They're very good at running campaigns because they will do or say anything to get elected. And because of that, they can win. But the rest of us have to decide, do we want that as our American face? Or do we want something that's a heck of a lot smarter and better? Joe Biden is a moderate Republican. I get that. But I would rather have a moderate Republican than the screaming racist fascist whose father was a Klansman. And who denies his father was a Klansman, even though we have hard evidence about him being arrested while being a Klansman. So it's in the public record and in newspapers. So the reality exists whether he likes it or not. But he doesn't like reality. He prefers his version of reality. The version where he's loved and respected. The version where everyone thinks he's a great, smart, powerful guy. Instead of a failed businessman and a failed husband and a failed father and a failed political leader. On every measurable metric, the shit given is a failure. He's driven casinos into the ground. Casinos print money, but he drove them into the ground because he's an idiot. So, what are you going to do, folks? Are you going to sit by idly and let this guy get reelected? Or are you going to get it out there and make sure you get to the polling booth or get to the mailbox in a timely manner so you can vote this asshole out of office? It's up to you. But these little news pieces I've just told you should kind of help push you in that direction, I think. Oh, and anyone out there who supports the president, fuck you. You're supporting fascism. Your ideology and your agenda are vile. So, let's all join together and vote this asshole into a prison cell.